given the just stratospheric entrance of Vice President Kamala Harris into the presidential campaign, and she has now secured enough delegates to become the nominee, you're going to look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color, but really as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture. You're going to look real weird and real lonely on that side. This election's about to be lit, like the kids say. I think I might have fallen out of a coconut tree.
I think Joy Reid has fallen out of the coconut tree a number of times. Daniel, do you think you'll start seeing a shift in terms of the poll numbers with black voters because of Kamala Harris entering into this race?
I think we're already starting to see her ahead in some polls against Trump. And for months, Biden was losing. And so even the Trump campaign's pollster, Tony Fabrizio, said, hey, this bump for Harris may last a while because she's a fresh face. And so I think that, going after black voters, that's going to be a critical part of her strategy. But also, she can talk about abortion, and Democrats have won the issue. They won the midterms in 2022 on abortion right after Roe v. Wade. We'll see if that is actually still relevant to many people's lives. But Biden was very hesitant to talk about abortion. This was probably a pro-life guy personally. And Harris is much more, hey, let's go all in on this issue.
Well, I mean, President Biden did do the sign of the cross at an abortion rally. And I would argue as well that when it comes to the midterm elections, we know that Donald Trump was not on the ballot. And it is much more of, I would say, the primary type of voters that go out during the midterm election. So I think the presidential might be a little different, especially because we've seen the economy, we've seen immigration, those issues being the ones that seem to dominate so many of the voters' minds. I mean, with the change in the top of the ticket, I definitely do see this kind of Harris honeymoon. Will this honeymoon last forever, or will we see somewhat of a divorce of Kamala Harris with the American people, Roma?
Well, look, we as the Trump administration, Trump campaign, have been putting our record against hers for 4 years now. And their record sucks. The American people are surely not happy with it. We've seen that in the polls. And even though you now have a new candidate who was also not on the ballot in the midterm elections, she was on the ballot in 2020. And that campaign crashed and burned faster than anybody could even watch it fall. So I have no doubt that this campaign will be the same as long as we keep our foot on the gas. She does have an influx of momentum right now, but that's just because it's brand new and they've had basically no one running for the last few months. So even if you turn off a hose that has been broken and dead, water will still come out when you turn it back on for the very first time.
I do think it's interesting that the clip that we see her playing and talking about is her making that same line that you just excerpted. And so she'll probably need new attack lines instead of Donald Trump. I've seen Donald Trump's types. She's used that in every stump speech since Monday.
She's had the same
I
stump
think
speech for
she might need
years.
to, get new speechwriters.
Yeah, I think it is interesting.
It has the risk of it getting repetitive.
It can, but I think they're viewing it as this is making the case against Donald Trump. So it's going to be interesting to see if that can sway the independent voters. It didn't take long for Hillary Clinton to take credit for paving the way for Kamala Harris's candidacy. Clinton, she's back, actually she never left, writing a New York Times op-ed saying, I know a thing or two about how hard it can be for strong women candidates to fight through the sexism and double standards of American politics. While it still pains me that I couldn't break that highest, hardest glass ceiling, I'm proud that my two presidential campaigns made it seem normal to have a woman at the top of the ticket. I mean, Ashley, seriously, now, like Hillary never goes away. Do you think she's vying for this vice presidential slot, or just saying, look, we got to push Kamala Harris to the finish line so that Hillary Clinton can get back into the cabinet?
Well, now they can acknowledge that she's a woman when she's breaking a glass ceiling. Otherwise, you can't talk about her being a woman or a Black American or Asian American. They only use it when it's convenient, and then they point fingers and call names at us, which drives me absolutely insane. I can think of nothing worse than having two women on a presidential ticket. I think you need to have a little bit of balance there.
I didn't know